The mockery begins, the story opens in the galactic council chambers on the planet Nexus Prime. Representatives from 12 alien species gather around a massive circular table. The atmosphere is tense as they discuss the newest applicant for membership. Humanity. Commander Voss, a tall reptilian being from the Dracon Empire, stands before a holographic display showing Earth statistics. His scaled fingers point to various data points as he speaks with obvious disdain. The humans, he explains, are pathetically weak. Their bones break easily, their skin tears from simple cuts, and they cannot even breathe in most planetary atmospheres. Without artificial support, Ambassador Kira, a crystalline being whose body reflects light in rainbow patterns, adds her own observations. She mentions how humans require constant food and water, unlike her people who can survive for months without sustenance. Their technology is primitive, their weapons crude, and their understanding of quantum physics laughable. The other council members nod in agreement. The insectoid Queen Zara clicks her mandibles in amusement, recalling how human explorers need thick protective suits just to survive on her desert world. The aquatic Lord Finn bubbles with laughter, noting that humans would drown in minutes on his oceanic planet. At the far end of the table sits Captain Roy, Earth's sole representative. He is a middle-aged man with graying hair and weathered hands. His simple blue uniform looks plain compared to the elaborate ceremonial wear of the other delegates. He listens quietly as each species lists humanity's weaknesses and failures. Discussion grows more heated as the aliens debate whether humans even deserve consideration. They are too fragile, too short-lived, too dependent on their technology. What could such a weak species possibly contribute to the mighty Galactic Council? Commander Voss calls for a preliminary vote. The result is unanimous. Humanity is deemed unworthy of membership. The other species begin to file out, their conversations filled with jokes about the pathetic humans who dared to dream of joining their ranks. Captain Roy remains seated, his expression calm despite the humiliation. As the chamber empties, he quietly activates his communication device and sends a single message back to Earth. Proceed with Plan Echo. 3 months later, the mining colony of Kepler 442b sends out a distress signal. The planet, rich in rare minerals, is under attack by the Void Hunters, a savage species of space pirates known for their brutality and advanced weaponry. A colony houses workers from 6 different council species, including a small human mining team. The Galactic Council receives the distress call during an emergency session. The Void Hunters have already destroyed the orbital defense platforms and are moving toward the surface installations. Commander Voss estimates they have less than 20 hours before the colony is completely overrun. Queen Zara volunteers her warrior drones for the rescue mission, boasting about their superior combat capabilities. Lord Finn offers his underwater assault teams, while Ambassador Kira suggests using her people's energy shields to protect the evacuation ships. The plan seems solid, but there's one problem. The nearest council fleet is 4 days away. As the Mythasal debate continues, Captain Roy stands and makes an unexpected announcement. A human patrol ship, the USS Defiant, is only 6 hours from Kepler 442b. He offers to have his crew attempt a rescue mission, while the council fleet travels to provide backup. The chamber erupts in disbelief and laughter. Commander Voss pounds his fist on the table, reminding everyone of humanity's obvious weaknesses. How could a single human ship possibly succeed where it would take an entire council fleet to guarantee victory? Roy remains calm, explaining that the Defiant carries a crew of only 43 humans, but they are willing to try. The other delegates exchange amused glances. Seeing this as further proof of human foolishness, Queen Zara makes a cruel suggestion. Let the humans try and fail. When they are inevitably defeated, It will serve as a perfect example of why they don't belong in the council. The other members agree, viewing it as entertainment rather than a serious rescue attempt. The vote is unanimous. The human ship is given permission to attempt the rescue, though no one expects them to succeed. Commander Voss even suggests they prepare memorial services for the human crew, since they're essentially flying to their deaths. Captain Roy thanks the council for their permission and leaves the chamber without another word. As soon as he's gone, the betting begins. The aliens wager on how quickly the human ship will be destroyed and how many of their crew will survive the first engagement. Meanwhile, aboard the USS Defiant, Captain Sam receives Roy's transmission. The ship's crew consists of miners, engineers, and a small security detail. Hardly what anyone would call elite warriors. But as Sam looks at the faces of his crew, he sees something the aliens failed to recognize: determination. The ship changes course toward Kepler 442b, its engines pushing beyond safe limits. In the cargo bay, the humans begin preparing for what they know will be a desperate fight against overwhelming odds. The USS Defiant drops out of hyperspace at the edge of the Kepler 442b system. Captain Sam and his crew immediately see the devastation: burning orbital stations, debris fields, and 3 massive Void Hunter battleships surrounding the planet like predators circling wounded prey. The human ship is dwarfed by the enemy vessels, each one 10 times its size and bristling with advanced weapons. The Void Hunters detect the new arrival immediately and turn their attention to what they assume is an easy target. On the bridge, Engineer Lisa runs diagnostics while Communications Officer Mark tries to establish contact with the colony. The news is grim. The surface installations are under heavy bombardment, and the mixed species workforce is trapped in underground shelters with dwindling life support. The first Void Hunter ship opens fire, sending massive plasma bolts toward the Defiant. Captain Sam orders evasive maneuvers, and the human ship dances between the attacks with surprising agility. The larger enemy vessels are powerful but slow, while the Defiant uses its smaller size to avoid the worst of the incoming fire. But dodging can only last so long. The humans need a strategy, and they need it fast. Sam calls for suggestions from his crew, and what follows is a rapid-fire discussion that would have amazed the council members if they could hear it. The humans don't have superior technology or stronger bodies, but they have something else: creativity born from desperation. They begin implementing a plan that no other species would even consider. Engineer Lisa reroutes power from non-essential systems to the shields, pushing them far beyond safe operating limits. The engines are modified to burn fuel mixtures that would be considered dangerous by any rational standard. The small complement of mining charges in the cargo bay are converted into improvised torpedoes. The Defiant suddenly changes tactics, no longer running, but charging straight at the nearest Void Hunter ship. The enemy commander, caught off guard by this suicidal maneuver, hesitates for just a moment, and that moment is all the humans need. The converted mining charges detonate against the battleship's hull, creating a breach that allows the Defiant to slip inside the enemy vessel's shield perimeter. Now the human ship is too close for the larger guns to target, and the crew begins targeting critical systems with surgical precision. But the real surprise comes when the humans begin their ground assault. Using modified mining equipment as weapons and environmental suits as armor, they beam down to the colony's surface. The Void Hunters expect to face terrified civilians, but instead encounter something they've never seen before: humans fighting with the desperation of a cornered animal. The rescue operation unfolds with brutal efficiency. The human miners use their knowledge of underground tunnels to outmaneuver the invaders. The engineers disable enemy equipment with improvised explosives. The security team fights with a ferocity that shocks even the hardened void hunters. Within hours, the impossible has happened. The colony's mixed species workforce is evacuated. The void hunter ground forces are in full retreat, and 2 of their 3 battleships are either destroyed or crippled. The third flees rather than face the same fate as the USS Defiant limps. Away from Kepler 442b, with the rescued colonists aboard, news of the victory spreads throughout the galaxy. A galactic council, which had been preparing funeral announcements for the human crew, instead finds itself trying to understand how such a weak species could accomplish the impossible. Asterisk, asterisk. The rescue at Kepler 442b becomes the talk of the galaxy within days. News networks across dozens of worlds broadcast footage of the battle, showing the small human ship dancing between massive enemy vessels and the desperate ground assault that saved hundreds of lives. In the galactic council chambers, the atmosphere has changed dramatically. The same aliens who had mocked humanity's weakness now study tactical reports with growing unease. Commander Voss reviews the battle footage for the 20th time. His reptilian features twisted in confusion. The humans shouldn't have won. By every logical calculation, they should have been destroyed within minutes of engaging the void hunters. Their ship was smaller, their weapons weaker, and their crew untrained for military combat. Yet somehow, they had achieved what seasoned council forces would have found challenging. Ambassador Kira's crystalline form flickers with nervous energy as she presents her analysis to the council. The humans, she explains, don't fight like other species. They don't rely on superior technology or overwhelming force. Instead, they use unpredictability, creativity, and something she struggles to define: a willingness to sacrifice everything for others. Queen Zara's insectoid features show rare signs of concern. Her warrior drones are bred for combat, trained from birth to follow orders and fight efficiently. But the humans at Kepler 442b had fought with an intensity that defied logic. They had risked their lives for colonists they barely knew, from species that had openly mocked them. The council members begin sharing their own observations. Reports flood in from across the galaxy of human traders, explorers, and settlers demonstrating similar behaviors. Humans who ran into burning buildings to save strangers. Human ships that responded to distress calls regardless of the danger. Human colonies that shared resources with neighboring worlds during disasters. Finn's aquatic form ripples with confusion as he presents a particularly disturbing report. A human cargo ship had encountered one of his people's vessels stranded in a radiation storm. Despite the deadly conditions, the human crew had risked their lives to repair the alien ship and escort it to safety. They had asked for nothing in return. The pattern becomes clear as more reports arrive. Humans consistently put themselves in danger to help others, regardless of species, politics, or personal cost. This behavior is so foreign to most council members that they struggle to understand it. Commander Voss calls for a classified session to discuss the human problem. The term itself reveals how their perspective has shifted. Humanity is no longer seen as a weak species seeking membership, but as a potential threat to the established order. The discussion grows heated as the implications sink in. If humans are willing to fight and die for strangers, what would they do to protect their own people? If they can defeat superior forces through creativity and determination, what happens when they develop better technology? Some council members argue for immediate action. The humans should be contained, isolated, or even eliminated before they become a larger threat. Others, led by Ambassador Kira, suggest a different approach: careful observation and gradual integration. But the debate is interrupted by breaking news. 3 more human ships have engaged Void Hunter forces in different sectors of the galaxy. In each case, the humans have emerged victorious, despite being outnumbered and outgunned. The pattern is undeniable. Humanity is no longer just surviving. In the galaxy, they're thriving. Captain Roy, who has been quietly observing the Council's panic, finally speaks. He reminds them that humans have always offered friendship and cooperation. The rescue at Kepler 442b wasn't about proving human strength. It was about doing what was right. His words fall on deaf ears. The Council members are too frightened by what they've witnessed to consider peaceful coexistence. They begin planning for a different kind of meeting with humanity, one that will determine whether humans will be allies or enemies of the galactic. Council. As the session ends, secret communications begin flowing between the various species. Military leaders discuss ship movements and weapon deployments. Intelligence services share data about human colonies and trade routes. The galaxy is preparing for the possibility of war with a species they had dismissed as harmless just months before. In the depths of space, human ships continue their peaceful missions, unaware that their acts of heroism have been interpreted as acts of aggression by the very aliens they had hoped to befriend. 6 months after the Kepler 442b incident, the Galactic Council issues an ultimatum to humanity. The message is delivered by Commander Voss himself, broadcast across all human colonies and ships. His reptilian features are stern as he speaks from the Council chambers. The terms are clear and non-negotiable. Humanity must submit to Council oversight, limit their expansion to designated sectors, and accept permanent monitoring of their military capabilities. Any resistance will be met with overwhelming force from the combined fleets of 12 species. The message is received in shocked silence across human space. On Earth, President Davis convenes an emergency session of the United Earth Government. The room fills with representatives from colonies, mining operations, and exploration fleets scattered across dozens of star systems. Captain Roy, now serving as humanity's chief diplomatic officer, reads the ultimatum aloud. The demands are impossible to accept. Council oversight would mean the end of human freedom, while the restricted expansion zones would condemn millions to slow starvation as resources dwindle. The debate that follows reveals the true nature of humanity's strength. Unlike the Council species, humans don't have a single command structure or unified military. Each colony developed independently, each ship crew makes their own decisions, and each individual human has the right to choose their own path. General Kate, commander of Earth's small defense fleet, presents the military situation. Humanity has fewer than 200 ships scattered across the galaxy, most of them converted cargo vessels or mining craft. The Council commands thousands of purpose-built warships with technology centuries more advanced than anything humans possess. The odds are hopeless, but the discussion continues. Colony Representative Jim speaks for the outer settlements, describing how his people have carved homes from hostile worlds through sheer determination. Explorer Captain Anna reports from the frontier, where human survey teams have discovered new worlds and made contact with dozens of minor species. What emerges from the debate is a picture of humanity that the Council has failed to understand. Humans aren't just one species trying to join a galactic community. They're a force of nature, spreading across the galaxy, not through conquest, but through an irrepressible desire to explore, create, and connect. The vote is unanimous. Humanity rejects the ultimatum. President Davis composes the response personally, a simple message that will be remembered throughout galactic history. We came in peace, offered friendship, and asked only for the chance to stand as equals. You have chosen to see us as a threat. We will not submit to tyranny, no matter how powerful the tyrant. Humanity stands free. The message is broadcast across the galaxy, reaching not just the Council, but every independent species, every minor civilization, and every individual who has ever felt the weight of Council authority. The response is immediate and unexpected. On the mining world of Asteroid Base 7, the local population of rock dwellers offers to hide human families in their deep tunnels. The aquatic farmers of Ocean World 3 volunteer to supply food to human colonies under siege. Even some council citizens begin speaking out against their government's actions. The council leadership is stunned by this development. Commander Voss had expected humanity to submit or flee. Instead, they have chosen to fight, and their defiance is inspiring others to question council authority. Emergency sessions are called across the galaxy as council species mobilize their fleets. The plan is simple: crush human resistance quickly and publicly, demonstrating the cost of defying the established order. Military leaders estimate the war will last no more than a few weeks. But as the massive fleets begin moving toward human space, intelligence reports bring disturbing news. Human ships aren't fleeing or gathering for a final stand. Instead, they're scattering throughout the galaxy, disappearing into asteroid fields, nebulae, and the vast empty spaces between stars. The humans are implementing a strategy that no council species has ever considered. They're refusing to fight the war their enemies want to fight. Instead of meeting the council fleets in open battle, they're planning something else entirely. Admiral Voss studies the tactical displays with growing frustration. His sensors show human ships everywhere and nowhere, moving in patterns that make no strategic sense. Some are heading toward council homeworlds, others toward remote systems that have no military value. The council fleets move toward Earth, expecting to find humanity's capital world defended by every ship they can muster. Instead, they find a nearly empty system with a single small vessel waiting in orbit. Captain Roy stands alone on the bridge of his ship, watching the approaching armada. He opens a communication channel to the council fleet and speaks the words, "That will change everything. You wanted to see our strength. Now you'll understand why we never needed your approval." The council fleets arrive at Earth, expecting to find a desperate last stand. Instead, they encounter something that defies all their understanding of warfare. A planet protected by a single human ship, with Captain Roy calmly waiting to speak. With them, Admiral Voss demands an immediate surrender, but Roy's response is puzzling. He simply asks the council forces to observe their scanners for the next few minutes. Confused but curious, the alien commanders comply. What they see changes everything. Across the galaxy, human ships are simultaneously arriving at every major council world, not to attack, but to begin rescue operations. The humans have spent months secretly identifying the oppressed populations, the enslaved workers, the species kept in check by council authority. On the Draken homeworld, human ships peer in the asteroid mining fields where the reptilian empire keeps its slave laborers. The workers, seeing the small human vessels, begin to understand that someone has finally come to help them escape their bondage. At the crystalline cities of Ambassador Kira's people, human teams begin evacuating the lower castes who have been denied basic rights for centuries. The crystal beings watch in amazement as the same humans they had mocked risk their lives to save people they've never met. The pattern repeats across dozens of worlds. Human ships arrive not as conquerors, but as liberators, offering freedom to anyone who wants it. The council species, with their fleets concentrated around Earth, are powerless to stop the simultaneous operations happening throughout their territories. Captain Roy explains the situation to the increasingly frantic council commanders. Humanity has discovered the galaxy's greatest secret. Every council species maintains its power through oppression. The strong rule the weak, the advanced exploit the primitive, and dissent is crushed before it can spread. But humans see the galaxy differently. They see potential allies in every downtrodden population, friends in every oppressed species, and hope in every individual yearning for freedom. The rescue operations aren't military strikes, they're acts of liberation. The communication channels flood with reports from across the galaxy. Slave populations are being evacuated. oppressed colonies are declaring independence, and minor species are joining together in mutual defense pacts. The careful balance of power that has kept the Council in control for millennia is collapsing. Admiral Voss realizes the true scope of the human strategy. They haven't just rejected the Council's authority, they've undermined it completely. By offering freedom to the oppressed, humanity has exposed the moral bankruptcy of the galactic order. The Council faces an impossible choice. They can attack Earth and destroy the human homeworld, but doing so will only prove that they rule through fear and violence. Or they can negotiate, admitting that their authority was never legitimate in the first place. As the standoff continues, reports arrive of something unprecedented. Council citizens are beginning to rebel against their own governments. The crystalline lower castes are demanding equal rights. The Draken slaves are refusing to return to the mines. The insectoid worker drones are questioning their queen's absolute authority. The human plan has succeeded beyond their wildest dreams. They haven't conquered the galaxy through superior force. They've liberated it through the simple act of offering help to those who needed it most. Commander Voss, his reptilian features twisted with rage and confusion, demands to know why the humans would risk everything for strangers. Roy's answer is simple: because it's the right thing to do. The concept is so foreign to the Council mindset that they struggle to comprehend it. They've built their civilization on the principle that might makes right, that the strong naturally rule the weak. The idea that power should be used to protect and help others is revolutionary. As the galactic revolution continues, the Council fleets around Earth face a choice. They can continue threatening humanity while their own worlds burn with rebellion, or they can begin the long process of learning to live in a galaxy where freedom and cooperation replace fear and oppression. The story ends with Captain Roy extending an invitation to the Council species. Join humanity in building a better galaxy, one where all species can thrive as equals. The choice is theirs, but the old order is finished. The humans never needed the Council's approval to prove their worth. They proved it by showing that true strength isn't measured in weapons or technology, but in the willingness to fight for others, to sacrifice for strangers, and to never give up hope that tomorrow can be better than today. The galaxy has finally learned what it means to be human. Not weakness to be mocked, but strength to be admired. Asterisk.